Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, I feel much delighted to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to the 15th International Conference on Islamic Capital Markets with the main theme of developing Islamic capital markets to converge the Ummah.
The compassionate, the merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, knowledgeable scholars, it's with great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to the 15th Islamic Capital Markets Conference.
Actually, we are done with the first day of the event. I hope you have enjoyed it, and we are waiting for you tomorrow morning right at 9 o'clock here at the same venue. Thank you and goodbye.
Knowledgeable scholars, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. Salamun alaikum, everybody. Today, I'm here as a balancing stone a bit, because everyone is very knowledgeable, and from financial world, I am a guy of technology. So let's balance it up a bit. And I will talk about democratization of finance as Islamic, for Islamic Ummah to converge, to come together. And what I mean here by democratization of finance, it is the democratization of capital market in the first place. Obviously, we shall go for more in the future. My name is Hossein Mohammadi. I'm Vice Chairman in Technology and International Affairs in SEO, and also University Lecturer in Computer Science. So, on my agenda, I will be talking about aspects of democratization of finance. I will touch upon the recently a bit downtrend of decentralization and DeFi, and whether is it a solution or not. I will go for fairness as the main keystone of democratization. Then I will go left and quote Karl Marx as a critic for capitalism. Obviously, we are talking about capital market, but it is worse to look at it from a different perspective. I will talk about access and education, and then mechanisms for participation. And finally, a few words about responsible capitalism and stakeholder capitalism. And obviously, the buzzwords of today, AI, the artificial intelligence. So, Allah help me and remove impediment from my speech, so I can make everything together here. So, key points on democratization of finance, what it is. It's been said that democratization of finance refer to the increased access and participation of individuals in the financial economy, in the financial activities. So, it would be a crucial phenomenon in today's and future's financial landscape, because finance, well, although a bit notorious have been, but mainly have been centralized in selected hands, let's say it together this way. But now we're thinking of a shaping and accessibility for fairness and more efficiency. So these examples there, would include better access, growth, and maybe decentralized finance, and also the employment of financial technology, fintech. So what are the aspects? The definition, the usual definition of the term democratization of finance refer to the process of making financial systems and services accessible to a broader population. Not only the traders, not only the people from stock exchange, not only people who know how to be interested in other people's money. This will include aspects like increased accessibility, fairness, and decentralizations. So there are many examples, and we have seen ups and downs here, from Bank of the Poor to Islamic instruments. So, and what are the goals of Islam here? Islam promotes fairness and justice. These are the cornerstones. So anything unjust or unfair is not Islamic. And there is an ayah in the Quran, in Holy Quran, it says, كَيْ لَا يَكُونُ دَوْلَةً بَيْنَ الْأَغْنِيَاءِ, means this is a goal, that the capital should not remain in selected hands, in the hands of the rich. Is it just a popular slogan? No, it's not. I've done computer simulations. I am a guy of technology, obviously. I've done computer simulations, and many economists, I'm sure, as my brother, Dr. Mohammadi, all would confirm me that if you simulate the effect of capital in selected hands, that capital would worth less. And if the capital is more diversified, then that capital in the society would do more. So that is the key point here. So capital acts like the blood in the veins of the society. If this blood remains somewhere selected, it would be a blood clot. So it would be death eventually. But if this blood flows and flows more evenly, the better it flows, the better we go for and we reach our goals. So if this blood doesn't flow, we will have alienation of some segments of the society. We can see that nowadays in many societies, that some of the certain segments of the society has been alienated. What I mean by alienation, it's a social term. It means they have been deprived of their rights, and they have been marginalized. You can see in Western societies on people of color, on migrants, that they have been marginalized. So unrest would follow, and also it would hamper growth. And the problem of convergence, nowadays, let's be honest together, the capital market, or as the whole, the capital economy now converges to selected hands. You can see that 99% movement in New York. You can see that the top 1% own more than what it is. I think 50% of world capital. So this is not only unjust, but also inefficient. Why it is inefficient? Because that capital could flow and could provide prosperity for the society, but it's not. So this has its roots in the belief system and the fabric of society. That's why we're referring to Islam here. And what Islam says, Islam promotes a new approach, a modern approach, a more humane approach to economy. An approach which is not savages hungry for each other's blood. No. An approach that if you even follow the new routes and new movements in the economy, you can see that some of it in a stakeholder capitalism. I will touch upon that. So we have real versus fabricated value. Some values or some instruments, some goods, they are fabricated. They're not. They're synthetic. And some of them have intrinsic values. So the first goal here is, and the first movement here is better education. Education is a right. It's not something you grant to somebody. It's a right, it's a human right, Islamic right, that you've got to educate everyone. And so knowledge is the power, and wisdom is the way of life. Wisdom is often knowledge, comes often knowledge. Wisdom is the effect of your knowledge in your life. So we've got to educate how to spend, how to invest, how to decide on what. You can see many popular movements, many democratized movements are fallen through pitfalls of popularism. And that popularism you can see nowadays all over the world, it's going far to the right. But that's not the goal of democracy, nor it's the goal of Islam. It is responsible decision making. So it is the most crucial job, and it is mainly ignored. So, and some people have other incentives. Let's put it mildly this way. A notorious king of Iran, Nasruddin Shah, he has a quotation, I'm quoting him vaguely here. If he said to his son, if you want to rule Iranian people, keep them hungry and undereducated. That's very important. So, as a very good example, let's look at the Bank of the Poor. You know this example, it started the microfinance movement in Bangladesh, I believe. It brought about better financial inclusion. It was more about small loans and empowering the entrepreneurship. The entrepreneurship mainly amongst women. It had great social impact, and also ultimately in the society it faced challenges. Why? Because it was just a standalone movement in a world of hungry capitalism, or let's put it mildly, coming capitalism. So, is decentralization a solution? Yes and no. Why and how? What is this decentralization thing? Nowadays, hype is a bit gone, but I can remember 5 years ago, if I wanted to develop any system, everyone would come to me and say, where is the blockchain in it? Well, I used to say, there is no need in blockchain in this system. Blockchain is just an algorithm. And or DLT is just a technology. When I'm required, when it is beneficial to me, I would use that. But decentralization as a whole, as an idea, not talking about blockchain or any other technology. Decentralization, I mainly look at it as a rebellion act of the marginalized people, of people who doesn't control banks, doesn't control the capital market, to to get involved, even by force. I've been educated by my economist friends that cryptocurrency cannot be a currency in the ultimate fashion because of economic factors like it cannot be controlled and the amount is something static. But let's look at it this way. It eliminates the need for a central authority, all right? So it's a rebellion act. So what is my ultimate answer here? Is this decentralization a must? No, it's not a must. Is decentralization the way to go? Not necessarily. Whatever is easier, we would choose that. But would we keep decentralization? Definitely. Why? Because at least it's a Damocles sword over the heads of capitalists. So if the capital market, its central authorities would not go for people, people would go their own way. But if, for example, central authorities like CSTs, if they provide a centralized service, which is already we all have trust in it, there would be no need for a very expensive decentralized solution. Decentralization is very expensive. Nowadays, Bitcoin, I think, uses something around 80 gigawatts of power. It's more than Iran, more than whole Iran, 80 million country. So, let's touch upon fairness. Fairness is a cornerstone of democracy and democratization of finance, ensuring equal opportunities for all individuals to access the benefits from the financial system. And we shall address biases. Democratization of finance requires addressing biases and discrimination and promote, obviously, fair treatment of all opportunities. I will quote Karl Marx. I hope you don't call me a communist. I'm not. I'm an Islamist. But Karl Marx, as a thinker, as a critic, shall be quoted. Why? Because we always need to re-evaluate where we are standing. Marx once said, capitalism would eat itself. You know the quotation. And the other one, which is more important, the story of the old man gathering firewood from a public forest. I think you know that. He said, if you privatize that forest, that old man would not be allowed to go there, and the owner of the forest would not have incentive to gather that firewood. So an efficiency would be deducted from the society. Why I'm quoting him? Because we need some of his ideas, but to be revisioned. To be revisioned within Islamic framework. So, what are the mechanisms for financial participations nowadays? This is my specialty. It is the technology. Nowadays, modern technology has brought about new ways and new mechanisms like fintech. 20 years ago, we couldn't even think of fintech. We couldn't even think of having a mobile phone, a full-fashioned computer with 14 sensors. On some of you, I think, have more than one. I'm sure. I only have got one. So carrying everywhere, and we are all connected. And we can do everything using an app or a web application. So fintech would play and is playing a vital role in democratization of finance. And also AI. Why from all these technologies, I'm quoting AI? Is it because it's the buzzword of today? No. Because I'm not interested in buzzwords. Because buzzwords mainly carry lots of hype, and hype is something you can't count on. Why I'm not talking about big data? I'm talking about AI because AI in its essence brings about a revolution in accessing to advisory to lesser capital. So if you've been a family guy or a woman or a teacher, you couldn't access traditional financial services, financial advisory. But nowadays, even for a single dollar, you can go for robotic advisement. And that's a game changer. We all can access quality, advertisement and also quality education. So, two non-Islamic but very similar paths that have been taken. First one is responsible capitalism. Nowadays, it is a buzzword for ESG. We're going for environment, we're going for social impact, and also for governance. The ESG thing, I'm not sure how much time do I have, Mr. Najari, if you could consult me, because there's no timer in this place. But, and the second one is stakeholder capitalism. Stakeholder capitalism, this is very interesting. In stakeholder capitalism prioritizes the well-being of all the stakeholders, not just shareholders. 10 minutes, all right. Not just shareholders. So it's like an onion structure. You can see here, we have our shareholders and board in the middle, but we also care about governance, regulatory environment, about the customers, and there is a very big role for AI to be played here. So, to finalize the AI thing here, AI presents a dual role in democratization of finance. While it enables greater access and efficiency, its use requires careful regulation and mitigation of risks. Why? Because algorithms are inherently not fair. I'm a man of computer science, and believe me, algorithms and AI, they're inherently unfair. They carry fairness aspects of the people who have trained them. So that would be a challenge for our future. And they are not flexible. There is a story. I was going to Vietnam with a friend of mine, I think a month ago. The visa system was an automated system, and there his passport expiry date was a mistake. If it was a human, we could call them and to renew the visa. But because it was a system, the system is efficient but not flexible. The system would say to him, you already have got the visa. Why? Because it just checked on the passport number. That's very important. But on the other side, AI is cheap. It's game-changing for small capital, and also can bring running blood, eco-blood, to the suppressed. Robo-advisors are taking care of this thing. The way of wisdom is unique. Here I'm quoting my own specialty. These two graphs, they're not related to this topic. They are from routing in the internet. Routing in the internet. How much more different you want it? But here, just look at it. We had one method, it's called the SPF. It's not important here. But the upper graph, you can see the oscillation, the big oscillation. That thing acted like conventional capitalism, where you, instead of, for example, investing in your country, in your own society, you would go through hundreds or tens of, hundreds a bit excessive, or tens of layers of financial instruments to invest in some other continent. And you would feel that this investment makes more sense than making a responsible and socially responsible investment in your own region, or in your country or the region, all right? That's the big oscillation. We did what? We did say that, look, DSPF, Mr. DSPF, a path in the internet connecting 100 nodes cannot be better than a path with 3 nodes. The maximum for us is 3. We know this 3 from our wisdom. It's not data. And then look at the bottom graph. That is the drop of packets and the use of internet, the efficiency of internet. You can see all drops have gone to nothing after implementation of this new thing. So the way of wisdom is unique. That's a Farsi slogan. No, it's Arabic, I believe. Yeah, it's Arabic. They say Tariq al-Aql Wahed. Yeah. So you can see this in Latin America when where people produce avocado for rich people to eat in Europe, to be carried on airplanes, but they can't afford rice or any other grains for themselves. That's the excess. And now I'm going for a couple of case studies in Iran. In Iran, we have more than 100 financial institutions. More than 80% of our active people are investors, effectively investors in the capital market. 90% we have technology adoption. More than 90% of our trades are done online. And last round of our investor education included 400,000 people in the virtual exchange. And nowadays we are lagging a bit. We have to make it a couple of millions. The first one is public justice share. We call it Saham Edalat. 50 million people came through this, and the government, for the household investment, they divided state-owned companies between the government, between the families and people. So almost 20 years, we had ups and downs, and we centralized our approach on technology. We had, for example, dividend distribution. It is a challenge. If you are going for million, it's always a different story. But in this public justice share, let me talk to you about our recent approach to democratic decision making. We have to make decisions for example, for board members, for strategies of these companies who have tens of millions of investors. So this is the first sentence here is a quotation. It says from a paper, deliberation is the main absent thing in the contemporary economics. That's very important. We all say that we live in democratic societies, but there's no deliberation. So for us, cooperatives is in the center stage. And we bend our solution to match the society. We shall not, in Farsi we say, we shall not tailor a coat, a single coat, a unique coat, and make everyone wear that. That's not wise. So our differences is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should not be misused as racism, but we've got to respect our differences. Differences is something that will bring about new innovation. So that's very important. We are thinking of public justice share parliament is a virtual parliament thing, in which every cooperative from every village, from every town would nominate people eligible and also people responsible for different sectors of economy, and in a virtual environment they would come together to decide. And a value-added service of this thing can be voluntary capital dividend or waqf. The second case study is Roshd high-tech ecosystem. New technology would need to new power and need new opportunity. We already have VC funds, but to speak with honesty and frankly, they are not very active. They had some ups and downs, obviously. Some of them had a couple of successes and then stuck with it. And in the new ecosystem, we are trying to go the other way around. So we're first going for some selected specialties or lines of technology like quantum computing, EVs, electric vehicles and battery technology, and nuclear fusion as the future of energy. And then we would mix all these with the competition. For example, if we have 10 EV startups, we would mix them and then mix them again with traditional instruments. So we would have what we call it flavored funds. And in these flavored funds, public can invest. So if I know for a fact that, for example, battery technology in Iran would have a good future, I could go and invest in what? In a flavored fund of battery technology or EV. So finally, outcomes and consequences. There would be no such a thing as I'm interested in other people's money anymore. This is the slogan of Hungry Finance, but we will also mitigate Ponzi scheme hazards through Islamic social responsibility and referring. That's very important. And the risk mechanism would shift from risk shifting to risk sharing. And we would have to have distinct identification of riba, because riba is war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we mix riba with our tradition, with our fabric of our economy, that would be very hazardous. And unfortunately, we have already done that because this fiat money thing inherently has that. So we would have more emphasis on primary market with framework secondary market and control over fabricated or synthetic assets. So what we are calling for, finally, we are calling for brave rethink and redesign of capital economy, starting from a market based on Islamic fairness, goals, and wisdom. The current design is old, and whenever a design is old, it is subject to manipulation. If your mobile phone is not updated for 6 months, you would say, oh, my mobile phone is out of date, and maybe viruses would attack me, all right? And we've been using a financial system which has been static and not been updated for tens of years, for decades. How have we been satisfied ourselves with this system? So I'm calling for the ICM, for this esteemed society, to share their efforts to build the most comprehensive AI simulation of Islamic capital market ecosystem. We have university scholars here and also people from technology. We can make the largest AI model, AI brain, which would simulate the effects of democratization and what-if scenarios. Finally, we've got to extend this after capital market to banking and insurance. In Holy Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu isbiru wa sabiru wa rabitu. O the people of faith, just bear and what's sabru means I can't translate, means how shall I put it, I don't know. Advise people to bear the consequences, and this is the key part for me, and stay connected to each other. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, public satisfactions makes elites' discontent irrelevant. So we've got to go for the public, not popularism, but justice and fairness. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I would like to share my grief also, as Ayatollah Meswai Muqaddam said, and the griefs of all of us, I think. For people in Gaza, it's not a thing of even Islam, it's a thing of humanity. We are facing the world of cruelty against world of humanity. And you can see and you can hear voices of humanity from all corners of the globe. And the public notion of freedom of speech is being subjected to very harsh tests. So we are all hoping for them a very good life, and also the blood of our shaheeds, the blood of our martyrs, would bring all of us, even not necessarily limited to Islamic people, Muslims, but all of us, all the humanity together. Thank you very much indeed, and I hope I'm not running out of my time. If there is any question, I will be available.